Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Before we get into the act shown, I do want to say a huge thank you and a big welcome to Water Cleanup of Florida. It's funny, Michael Greenstein, one of the partners and entrepreneurs behind the great organization that is Water Cleanup of Florida, is a guy I've known my entire life, actually. His parents, his grandparents go back to being best friends with my grandparents. So it's really cool to be in a partnership with an organization as strong as Water Cleanup of Florida. Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage? Looking for a reputable, fully licensed, insured, and certified contractor? Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. Wow, that's interesting because we're dealing with a fridge thing now, and I waited till 9 to call the guy and this and that, and it's actually cold 24 hours a day. That's very rare. They say that, and they mean that. When disaster strikes in your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, and their teams are prepared to handle any size disaster. The guys are third-generation contractors in South Florida, so continuing to maintain their sterling reputation is extremely important to them. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also licensed building contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. Oh my God, how amazing is that? Like the fact that you don't have to go to a million different places, because that's a lot of the pain in the butt when it comes to an issue. First of all, you got to go find it, then you got to make sure you can fix it. The fact that they're able to find it and fix it is something not many can match. There is no need to bring in other contractors. They will handle it all for you. If you've dealt with contractors, that's so fun because they tell you how to take a day, take a week, take a month, and they never stick to it. Water Cleanup of Florida doesn't mess with you in that regard. They tell you they're going to get it done, and they get it done. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell at 954-579-0356, 954-579-0356. Just mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, and you will receive a free inspection during business hours. Again, mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, and you'll get a free inspection during business hours. That's 954-579-0356, or visit their website at wcufl.com. You can also follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And please check out the 65 5-star reviews on Google to see what our past customers are saying about our award-winning service. Water Cleanup of Florida, we clean up your schmutz. And talking about cleaning up schmutz, today's Defo Show with Lubie is talking to a guy that's dealt with a lot of schmutz, Dave Hyde, sports columnist of the Sun Sentinel for over 2 decades, might be nearing 3 decades, but the guy, you wouldn't know it, a young man, still raring to go, and has covered a lot of schmutz. Thank you to Michael Greenstein and Water Cleanup of Florida. That's not the case right now when it comes to the South Florida sports scene. The South Florida sports scene these days is pretty exciting. Heat number 1, Eastern Conference. Panthers number 1, Eastern Conference. Dolphins flirting with the playoffs the last 2 years, and then go out and be aggressive with their coaching hire and their moves this offseason. Plus, the Miami Hurricanes aren't messing around. The Canes go and get Cristobal from Oregon, one of the top programs in the country, put together one of the best staffs in the country, and are putting a lot of money into the program. Right now, it's a pretty good time to be a South Florida sports fan or South Florida sports columnist. Today, we talk with Dave Hyde right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Always excited to have this man here on the program, the preeminent, with apologies to Greg Cody, preeminent and Eddie Pope, may he rest in peace, columnist to hit the South Florida journalistic scene, possibly in the history of South Florida newspaper journalism. The great Dave Hyde joins us here on the program. David, how are you, my friend?
I'm glad I come on your show to get that ego rush. And Cody and Pope, obviously, don't come on the show because so that's good to hear. I'm well. Busy time right now.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Cody. He abandoned us when he made it big. I mean, back in the day, you get a call from Cody every now and then. Hey, Dave, if you got any cable TV shows I could appear on? I really need the 300. But now, not a word. Now that he can help us out, not a word. Unbelievable, Dave. How does that work? I mean, is that what life is really all about?
I won't forget you when I'm at the top, Defo. I will not forget you.
That's appreciated, Mr. Hyde. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, speaking of where you're at, I mean, how are you not at Augusta National? Is not every reporter obligated to go and write some kind of homage to Tiger Woods today?
Yeah, boy, what a story he would be if he can actually somewhere get on the leaderboard in the first couple days and
well,
make
he's going to be on a leaderboard. They're going to have his name on a leaderboard, even though he hasn't teed off yet.
I was going to say, they'll find him.
It'll be Tiger Woods, even, and even if a guy's like 12 under through 6.
Tiger Woods 12 over, but he's there. He's there.
He'll still be on the board. He'll be on the board, that's for sure. And in a little corner box on the screen at all times, even if he's just passing gas.
Yeah. I loved covering the Masters. We don't travel like we once did, thank God. I actually have a life, but I would go from the Final Four to the Masters a lot of years, and the Masters was a lot of fun to cover. It was, stepping back in time and day deadlines, which matter in my work, and interesting plots and great history, and once in a while a story like this, where a Jack Nicklaus is contending at the end of his career, or I went there in '86. That was before me, but he did get on the leaderboard in later years too. And so it'd be an incredible scene if he's actually in the middle of all this.
There's always one of the old geezer golfers that is prominent for a round or two, right? Usually it's our man Freddie Couples at 62, but the bad back somehow always catches up with him. Very smooth stroke out there, but there's definitely a charm to this tournament that I don't think exists even close. I mean, it really is a tradition like no other when it comes to the game of golf. And you can't help, no matter where you're living, but look at the beautiful scenes there, which are mostly, the case where the sun is shining and the azaleas are blooming. And then, I was really depressed to find out that they piped in the bird noise. And that maybe none of this was real, but it looks fantastic. It's very inspiring. It makes you want to go out and paint a picture, do some kind of oil painting while you're sitting on the beach by yourself. It's fantastic in terms of inspiration.
Yeah, it's like that movie Truman's World with Jim Carrey. It's a little fake. When you walk in, if you walk in with a soda can, a Coke or Pepsi, they take it and they pour it into a green Masters cup, and that's what you walk in. You're not allowed to walk in with anything that really anything from the modern world, and then that includes dollar bills, because at the concession stand, sandwiches. Now I don't know if they've gone up in the last. When I was
the pimento cheese
been there,
cheap,
but it was like pimento and cheese for $1, a soda for $1. It was the last place in the world. Now the hard part is getting the ticket. It's the hardest ticket in sports to get. But once you're in the ground, it's pretty neat.
Obviously, Hal Steinbrenner is not running the concessions at Augusta National. If you can get a soda for $1, that would be like $14 at Yankee Stadium. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, the sanctimony of the whole thing is great. I guess there are other elements there that really, weren't necessarily particularly flattering, when you were talking about the event. Right. But still, I mean, I dig every minute of it. I really do. I'll be riveted to the thing. We have action on the Masters, which is fantastic now. And I don't know that I'll get involved in any in-game prop bets, but there'll be certain putts, let's face it, that I'll be praying that various people miss by several feet, including if Sergio's on the board, I'm going to be very, very upset. Anyway, that thing's a lot of fun, but what's even more fun, it's impossible to sell, Dave Hyde. We've been trying to do this. Lubie just gave me the distressing news that the numerology on our conversation about the Florida Panthers with one of the most popular guys in South Florida. And he's on the broadcast, for God's sake. Red Deer Randy Moeller, been with the team forever. Great guy, well known for his pop culture references when he was doing the radio calls. People started listening to the games on the radio, which I would imagine is a fairly scant audience these days. And he pops it up on Skolnick's thing, Scoop Skolnick's deal, 5 Reasons. And the numbers of interested viewers and listeners, I mean, just dropped to near zero because the subject was hockey. So, why is South Florida just absolutely, dead to what seems to be a great story, including our buddy Mike Mayo, who believes they won't get out of the first round?
Oh, no, he does. No,
I'm glad Mayo.
You want to come to the dinner?
no,
do
you
you
gotta
want to
come
come
to
to
the
the dinner? He's buying dinner at
We're
Runway
inviting
84
everyone.
if they win a first-round series.
Because he's been really confident in hockey.
They do have a tough question if we're getting into hardcore hockey talk.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky, he's giving up a lot of goals, and do they bring the kid in or what? That's going to be a decision if Bobrovsky starts slow in the playoffs. But to answer your question, we're a ton of bandwagon jumpers, and I have no problem with that.
Well, you're used to writing about it, for sure.
It's just leaving the gate as the playoffs start. If they make a playoff run, all of a sudden we'll be the greatest hockey town in the world for about 2 months. If they make a run, and if they make a run, it'll carry into next year. And if they make a run next year, it'll get bigger. That's how it works. You don't go 25 years, a quarter century. Actually, it might be 26 years this year without winning a playoff series, much less making the playoffs here and there.
Very
and
infrequently,
expect everybody to stay aboard. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So, but this is, if you are interested in hockey or just curious, this is a crazy team. This is the highest scoring team in the history of hockey. I mean, it is a fun team to watch. It is, to compare it to the big three, the Heat is a little much because they have the marketing power of LeBron and Wade and Bosch and Riley, et cetera. But as far as watching the game play and I mean, the game the other night where they came back from 5-1 to win in overtime was, it's a show. It's just not South Florida's popular show just yet. But if they make a run in the playoffs, it will be.
Well, and to your point, and maybe to Mayo's benefit here, because the bet is if the Panthers win a playoff series, and he's buying dinner for Lubie and me, and we thought it was anybody that we invited at Anthony's Runway 84, a fairly pricey joint, although well worth the money, and certainly a great place to go dining, and everybody loves the place. And if they lose in the first round, then Lubie and I have to ante up a dinner for Mayo. And none of his guests. So, I mean, we're not only getting a good price on this thing, but I think we have great value because it just seems like, Dave, do you get this feeling sometimes you're covering teams? I mean, I know Tampa Bay was like the number one seed, or I guess that they were, a high, favorite to win the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago before they won the 2 in a row. And they got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets and the very same Sergei Bobrovsky, who stood on his head in that playoff series, and they swept them out of the playoffs. So it is possible that, the best team could lose to the worst. We've seen it in the NHL before. But it is a little weird that, they carried Bobrovsky out, and not even, a coach coming to lift him or just giving him a signal. Security actually escorted him off the ice in this last game. So his vulnerability at a critical time, I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, are we going to be picking up a check? That would be a horrible consideration that we would have to pick up a check for Mayo just because he's a cynic and has a beef with Doug Sifu.
What if they alternate goalies? Bobrovsky starts, and if he's hot, he stays. And if not, about 12-minute mark or middle of the second period, Nate comes in, and they do that all through the play. What if the Panthers start a new trend, sort of like the baseball trend of a starting pitcher?
Doesn't work, right?
A relief goalie. What do you think?
Steve Spurrier would have to be coaching. I mean, that never works, right? That's the old cliche, right? Where if you have a quarterback controversy and two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback, right? Is the problem. So I don't know that you can do that in the playoffs because you really need one guy to get hot.
Well, that's the
in
idea.
The playoffs. So many times we've seen it. It's one of the great, storylines in following the NHL, which, a lot of people would agree. I don't know how you weigh in on this, Dave, but it definitely is the most physically difficult championship to win in all of sports. I believe that to be true. Because, the bloodbath that the NHL playoffs are from the opening game of the opening series all the way through. I mean, you win a Stanley Cup, you have definitely put in just a monumental effort. So I'm thinking, that the way this team has played all year, though, it just bodes well for them, to kind of at least grind one out, even if Bobrovsky has returned to having some kind of glaucoma in one eye.
It would be a staggering disappointment if they go out in the first round.
Yes.
I mean, staggering. And I'm glad you pegged Mayo down on on a restaurant because with his connections now in the food industry, he would find a way to get a free meal and get out of it. So I'm glad that you pegged him down on that. That's very good of you. But
and we took a deposition with Anthony Bruno, the owner of the place, and he guaranteed on the record that whoever lost the bet was actually going to pay.
Who's going to go deeper? But this is an amazing time.
Yes.
Right now in South Florida sports, the Heat are the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. The Panthers are the number 1 seed, I believe. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked at all the standings today, but I assume I woke up and they're still the same.
They're almost one in the NHL.
And who's going to go further? Who's going further? What do you think?
That's a great question because
we're going to be title town in 2 months.
It'd be wonderful. We took over for Boston from a few years ago.
Imagine we end up winning a couple of titles. I don't see that. We'll be lucky if one of the teams goes all the way. I believe that to be true. No, really. I mean, look, you're lucky. I mean, it's not easy to accomplish. But with the Heat now, the Heat, as a number 1 seed, they would be, as of today, I guess, theoretically, you have the play-in games.
Yeah.
And then, 8 has to play, one of those teams. Yep. But you do have the possibility of facing the Nets in the first round. And what I was looking at, also a very real possibility of facing, like, the Bucks in the second round. The way that it was, I mean, they're so tight there, and there's still a lot to be decided in the last few games. If you were thinking about a pennant race in the NBA, you couldn't ask for more of a scramble here than you're going to get in the last 3-4 games of the NBA season.
Yeah, we're back to the same old stuff as last year with the Heat. Can they get by the Bucks? And the Bucks got Lopez back, which was especially in a matchup with the Heat, huge because he's a mountain in the middle, and that's the Heat's. They don't have big guys, so that he was out most of the year with a back injury, back surgery, and now he's playing and. So, it's amazing both teams are the number 1 seed. The Panthers have, the NBA is so discounted the regular season. Guys not playing. With the Heat, the question is, okay, who are they going to trust in the playoffs? And and they're tipping their hand right now, obviously. Strus is playing but Duncan Robinson had a big night the other night. One thing Spoelstra's great at is figuring out on that night who was playing well and riding that guy. But I would guess the Panthers will go deeper in the playoffs. If you put a slap shot to my head, I would do that.
Well, and that's the thing is, and you alluded to it, and that's one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on again, the one and only Dave Hyde, longtime sports columnist for the Sun Sentinel, and he's national. He does a lot of different things. Follow him, hit him up. He's great on Twitter, at Dave Hyde Sports. Also, he's great on Facebook as well. He's everywhere, the one and only Dave Hyde. It's funny because we had you on, I think it was last year, literally, and you had the Panthers who were interesting but then lost. You had the Heat who had come off a finals run and got swept. You had the Marlins who came off the playoffs and then were horrendous. And then you had the Dolphins with Brian Flores playing good defense, but starting out 1-7. And we were like, okay, how depressing is this town? So to me, it's sort of cool that literally not even a year later, it's a total juxtaposition. The Marlins have been smart, and who knows what they'll do because their division's ridiculous, but this should be fun. And they have a great rotation. The Dolphins were smart and aggressive in free agency, which I don't think I've ever seen them do in my entire life. And now you have the Heat and the Panthers, both number 1 seeds. For you, whereas you were depressed, and the clip I played was you being depressed about the Dolphins, it feels like right now you can pick your joy, because everything's pretty cool. I wanted to talk about the Dolphins specifically because they've been lagging of all those teams, at least recently. What are your thoughts about what they've done in this offseason, Mike McDaniel and then Tyreek Hill? Because we haven't talked to you since they've done all that.
Yeah, you look what they did, the money they spent, and I was out there yesterday when Xavier Howard and Emmanuel Ogba talked, and everybody's happy. It's team happy right now. Everybody got paid, and I like their off season. You look at this roster right now; it is the best roster the Dolphins have had since Dave Wanstead, and when he had 2 Pro Bowl cornerbacks or 2 All-Pro cornerbacks and 2 Hall of Famers, assuming Zach gets in on defense, and Ricky Williams and a pretty good offensive line. And what did they do? They won one playoff game.
Yeah.
So the question to me isn't, did they have a good offseason? They really did. I mean, you go down the list of check. They checked all the boxes that you want them to do, and they surprised you with Tyreek Hill. I mean, so they're a much better team. They answered all their offense. Now, where do they stack up in the AFC? The AFC is just a murderer's row of teams right now, and Vegas has the Dolphins, even after all this, 10th in the AFC. I mean, it's staggering. And so, I mean, the defense has to get better, and you think it would with the young players they have, and bringing back the same Flores system run by defensive coordinator Josh Boyer. And, you know, look, there's an incredible amount of pressure, and no one's talking about this yet on Mike McDaniel. First-year coach. Usually first-year coach gets a little bit of a little bit of a learning curve, but there will be none here because he's going to have to hit the ground running and redo this offense and there are a lot of questions. If I'm Steve Ross, I'm saying, okay, you guys wanted this, I gave you this. You want 3 years to tank and rebuild, I gave you that. You wanted millions and millions of dollars to buy players, I gave you that. At some point, Chris Greer has to be on the hook for what's going on, and then the other people in management there. I mean, it's I want some results if I'm Steve Ross.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no doubt. While you were out there, did you see Chris Greer? We've been
where
asking,
is he?
Is there an all-points bulletin on this guy? He's making all these dynamic moves. You would normally see the GM front and center saying, well, we're very proud of the fact that we're able to sign this kid. And nothing. I mean, and this was the same guy that was making presumably.
He showed up at Indianapolis. He had a press conference there. And he did the requisite.
Where are the clips? No one put any clips out anywhere. I
haven't seen a quote. I mean, have you quoted him in a column, Chris Greer? I mean, what has this man said? Nothing.
Thank God I did. I didn't have to go to Indianapolis, so thank God I didn't have to. So.
Yeah, well, you missed out on the shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, pressure's on him, but you know, I mean, we all know. Right. We all know what it comes down to, don't we? Tua, right? All this building, all this spending, all this. You know, they have a word right now, think, and that's a good word for them. But it comes down to, okay, is Tua the guy they think he was when they drafted him, and they're going to find out this year.
All right. Let's hope he isn't the guy that a lot of people think he is, and that is mediocre at best. And I think he'll have to excel. The people they acquired, on the offensive side, would seem to really suit what skills Tua has, what he does well. I mean, and that's the thing in coaching. You have to. Say, hey, what does this guy do well? Let's accentuate that instead of screaming at him about the things that he doesn't do, particularly sharply. And, that's the mark of a good coach. So we'll see if McDaniel is that. All right. And I've thought this forever, and I think you are on the opposite side, and I've seen evidence of both. But in sports talk, we always thought failure and misery, what was the key to success? That the more your teams stunk, the better the participation would be in the interest in the shows. That misery was really the thing that drove, especially the very indifferent South Florida bandwagon jumping audience. But you have experienced just the opposite. So this must be a euphoric time for you as a columnist, Dave Hyde, because there is, and in actuality, I've seen this at different times, much more interest when teams are doing well. So I don't know. I mean, this has to be a great time for you. As Lubie alluded to, the Dolphins look like they're making intelligent moves at the very least. Panthers and Heat, both number one seeds. And I don't know how the Marlins are going to do this year. It seems like they're always in tough, and I'm not sure that they made any giant strides forward. But the number in Vegas, at least, is optimistic at 75, so they think they might be somewhere maybe in the neighborhood of 500. So what do you think? Is it better to have teams that absolutely lay an egg every year, or contend for championships in terms of being a writer here in town?
It's not even a question. I mean, are you kidding me? In Boston, radio ratings are 15, 16 because they got championship teams. They got the Patriots. They got go down the list. They all of them have won titles in the last 10 years and sometimes multiple titles. Here, what radio ratings are 1, right? I mean, it's the same with newspapers. And our best times in selling newspapers, and people say, "Oh, negative news sells." No, it doesn't. That's absurd. The things that sell in my world is when the Marlins win the World Series, when the Heat win the title, when the Canes are a dynasty, and in the last 20 years, we've had very little of that. The Heat have been the only franchise that have done anything. And so, are you kidding me? Would anybody want to read a book about the 1-15 Dolphins as opposed to the?
I would.
Yeah,
that's what I tried to say.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
John McKay was great when the Bucks went unvictorious. Yeah.
The best thing for our business is when you have a great team, contending. Maybe it's won a title, maybe it's back to win another title, and there's controversy on the team, or there's some mix in the team, right? I mean, that's it, because there's interest. There's no interest on a bad team when we're writing, "Oh, the GM screwed it up again." Okay, for the 20th straight year. I mean, no, give me excellence. I'd much rather cover excellence and talk about excellence with because there's so many. It's just like this hockey thing. Nobody cares about the goalie controversy down here, or if there is one. But if this was Toronto or someplace like that, that would be the talk story in sports right now. So there's so many subjects we cannot talk about because nobody cares about them.
Hour and a half away, Dave Hyde, from the moment all sports fans have been waiting for. Tiger will be teeing it up.
I love
my man Louis Wiesthuizen and Joaquin Neiman at the Masters coming up in about an hour and a hook. Dave, always a pleasure, my friend. Always great stuff. We thank you so much. So you're not inclined to take a call from Mitch from Miramar, who says that everybody sucks. That would not necessarily make your day.
I would take the call. But because you got to take the calls for the last 20 years of "we suck," right?
Yeah,
and
that's it. I mean, it's been the same old song, so it's nice to have something different out there. Right? All right, Dave, always a pleasure, my friend. Dave Hyde, Sun Sentinel, South Florida Sun Sentinel. People can find your work online.
Yes,
I don't even want to repeat. I'm ashamed of the fact I have been anteed up to 99 cents for the 6-month subscription, but it would be well worth it if you people did.
Before you let me go, one other thing. I'm doing a book with Jimmy Johnson called Swagger. So we can
that's right.
Yeah, what's going on with this? We're super excited.
Yeah, if you're not going to pony up for the Sun Sentinel, pony up for that, you cheap bastard.
How close to completion
What's going on with this book? Yeah, you finished it, didn't you?
There we go. Yeah. So what do you want me to finish?
What's going on with the book? What's going on with the book?
How close is it to being published? This thing.
It's written. I'm right now going back and forth on editing of the book. And Jimmy was incredible to work with, as you'd expect. Nobody has done retirement better than Jimmy, and we talk about it all. I mean, he's very open about for the Dolphins years. He's talks about Jerry Jones's relationship and with stories he has, people don't know about, obviously, and the Canes. So it's really the Jimmy and Pat Riley are the two most fascinating people I've covered. And, just because of the depth and intelligence of the way they go about building organizations and dealing with people. And so to sit for hours and talk to Jimmy about this and do a book with him has been, it's been a real fun time.
Well, you spent a lot more time with him than we did, although, I covered many Jimmy Johnson events over the years. But we sat down with him for about an hour, I want to say, maybe 9 months ago at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And I did notice this, that the mere mention of the name Barry Switzer flipped a different kind of switch with Jimmy. And he kept coming back to this thing. Maybe he never got over the fact that Switzer was the guy. I mean, that Jerry Jones threw this in his face with Switzer.
Yep.
And even Switzer, the team was so great, Switzer won a Super Bowl with him. But I think that, is like a Niagara Falls type of term, Barry Switzer, where slowly he turns step by step.
Jimmy took over a train that was run down, dilapidated, built it up, got it running, put it on the rails, going 100 miles an hour down the rails, and then Barry took the steering wheel and didn't wreck it, and that's how you win that's how he won a Super Bowl. Where the hard work, Jerry Jones says one of 500 coaches could win a Super Bowl with that team. Well, yeah, but the hard part's building the team. I mean, getting that team up and running.
They were dog meat.
Honestly.
Yeah, so we get into all that.
He traded Herschel Walker, for God's sake. Nobody would have ever considered doing that. Are you kidding me?
It worked.
It'd have been like trading Marino.
Honestly.
Unbelievable.
He was actually just back in Dallas. Yeah. And him and Herschel spoke together. He saw him for the first time since the trade.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was so. But yeah, I mean, some of the Jerry thought anybody could. He was dismissive of success, basically.
Yeah, which he's had so much of it since.
The amazing thing in this market. Think about this. Think about this. The Cowboys and the Dolphins, since Jimmy's players left, since the Aikmans and the Cowboys and the Dolphins, the last 25 years have won the same number of playoff games.
That's funny.
Two.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Two.
That tells you how awful the Cowboys have been.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is the Cowboys have been, a cut above mediocre. Like last year. Oh, they look like they have a pretty good team, but then they go flat in the playoffs.
Exciting.
Not many people will be documenting the Dave Campo era, Dave Hyde, of Cowboy football.
There's a lot of that, though, Garrett.
And that was a Jimmy disciple also.
Here or there.
All right, David, we have to run. Thanks so much, man. The Jimmy Johnson book, we look forward to it. We love Jimmy. I mean, he's fascinating. You're absolutely right, and it had to be a blast to work together with him on this project. So looking very much forward to that, combined with your outstanding award-winning writing. It has to be a major hit. Thanks so much for being with us here on the show. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Hyde, man.
Thanks a lot.
Again, a huge thank you to the one and only Dave Hyde. Follow him up on Twitter at Dave Hyde Sports. Covered South Florida sports for a long time, and like we talked about it, Defo's always joked about, well, people love to bitch about a loser. Yeah, but the problem with that is that only lasts so long. Eventually, a loser is so bad and so that you stop supporting them and you just stop caring. And that's the other thing I've learned from the one and only Jeff DeForest. Hate isn't the worst thing. Love, of course, is great. Disinterest is the worst thing. Not caring, whether it's a relationship, whether it's at a job, or whether it's a fan, is the worst thing that can happen. And that's what happened to so many fans down here in South Florida, being disinterested because of so much Right now, there's no The Dolphins fans are coming back. The Heat fans never left because the Heat have always been good. Panther fans are sort of struggling. Canes fans are excited. We'll see if that can continue. Dave Hyde feels invigorated, and we are invigorated as well. Thank you for checking us out. Again, check us out each and every morning on Ion Channel. Just Google The Defo Show, DEFO. You can always check us out on our exclusive content podcast. Today we talk about the Masters. Tiger, can he do it? I'm wondering if he can make a cut, let alone win the Masters. That's Believe.com, search After Hours. And you can check us out right here each and every day. The Defo Show with Lubie. Thank you again, Dave Hyde, on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.